If you are traveling from central London to Heathrow Airport by train, you have three options. You can get the Piccadilly Line on the tube, the Elizabeth Line, or the Heathrow Express, but which is the best? In this video, I'll be going through all three options individually and which one you should take. The Piccadilly Line extension from Hatton Cross to Heathrow was built in 1977, with trains from Hatton Cross going to Terminal 4, then around a loop to Heathrow Central, and back to Hatton Cross and towards central London again. In 2008, an extension was built from Heathrow Central to Terminal 5. In this time, the train goes from Hatton Cross to Heathrow Central directly, and then towards Terminal 5. By this point, Heathrow Central was renamed to Heathrow Terminals 1, 2 and 3, and it is still called that today despite Terminal 1 closing. I will be calling it Heathrow Central because it's a better name for it. The Piccadilly Line crosses through central London, so there's no clear central London station, but Heathrow Central is 17 stops away from Green Park, making it very slow. The other two services have a clear London station at Paddington, and to get to Paddington on the Piccadilly Line, you should change at Earl's Court or Gloucester Road for the Circle or District lines to Paddington. I took the Piccadilly Line from Heathrow to central London, and annoyingly they changed the destination to Northfields, so I got off at Boston Manor and boarded the next train, which was very busy. Also, at Heathrow Central, there was a very long queue for the lift, but I took the escalator. Heathrow Central Station itself looks a bit ugly, same with Terminal 4, but I like Terminal 5. Probably because it was built later. There are luggage sections on the train, and these dot matrix screens to tell you where you are. And in future, the Piccadilly Line will receive new trains which look very good, but don't seem to have perch seats. The Jubilee Line has 4 sections of perch seats in every carriage for multi-purpose luggage and standing space. And it can be used for buggies, and in one carriage, it is used for wheelchair areas, which is excellent, and all tube lines need this. The existing Piccadilly Line trains have perch seats, but I'm not too sure how much. It costs about £5 to travel to central London. However, there are several ways to make the journey cheaper, such as avoiding Zone 1 using the North London Line, or changing at Hatton Cross, but I won't talk about that today. This isn't a bad way to travel to Heathrow, but it's not an excellent way either. The new trains will make the experience better though. Next is the Heathrow Express, which is the fastest and most expensive way to travel. It has one route from Paddington to Terminal 5 calling at Heathrow Central only. This is the only option that does not go to all terminals. For Terminal 4, you must get the Elizabeth Line. It takes 15 minutes from Paddington to Heathrow Central, and another 6 minutes to Terminal 5, which is a very fast way to leave the London borough of Hillingdon. Inside, it's purple, which I'm not a big fan of. Well, it looks very nice, but the Elizabeth Line is also purple, and the Piccadilly Line is blue, which is very similar to purple. At all Heathrow stations, the Elizabeth Line uses the same platforms as the Heathrow Express, meaning announcements and screens must make it very clear which train is which, as tickets are valid on only one, and not both. At Paddington, they use separate stations, which is how the system knows which train you used when using Oyster or contactless. The Electrostars have a lot of large luggage racks, which is really good in ironing boards. But don't be fooled, these are a lot more comfortable than the 700s as it has more padding and a better shape. If this seat was made a bit bigger, it would literally be better than the Class 800. Which is slightly ironic because the Heathrow Express is owned by Great Western Railway. The interior is very nice, and there are bays of 4 with no table and airline-style seats with tray tables and plug sockets. There is a first-class section, which costs £32, but it's not worth it at all. You just get more comfortable seats and fast-track security at the airport. Standard class is £25, which can be reduced with railcards, advances, and return tickets. A return ticket on the Heathrow Express is actually cheaper than Heathrow Express one-way and Elizabeth Line back. It is also free for children. The Heathrow Express is expensive, but if you know what you are doing, it can be affordable or even cheaper than the Elizabeth Line. This is clearly the best way to travel if you are paying a reasonable price for it. And the final option is the Elizabeth Line. Starting with some context which I should have mentioned. In 1998, a branch was built off the Great Western Main Line at Hayes and Harlington, which dipped into a tunnel and went to Heathrow Central and Terminal 4 after a few months. In 2008, a branch was built off Heathrow Central, which went to Terminal 5. To this day, there is still no direct rail link from Terminal 4 to Terminal 5. You are advised to take a train to Heathrow Central and change there. However, due to construction issues, there was a station called Heathrow Junction just before the tunnels, and a bus took you from there to the airport. The service was operated by Heathrow Fast Train using the Class 332. And when the Heathrow Tunnel was built and safe to use, the service was renamed to Heathrow Express. In 2005, the Heathrow Connect was launched using Class 360s. It started at Paddington and skipped Acton Main Line, but it stopped at Ealing Broadway, West Ealing, Hanwell, Southall, Hayes and Harlington, Heathrow Central, and Terminal 4. The Heathrow Express went to Terminal 5, and the Heathrow Connect to Terminal 4. Transport for London took over the Heathrow Connect, gave it new Class 345 trains, and called it TfL Rail. And when the Crossrail project was finished in 2022, it was renamed to Elizabeth Line, and services ran from Terminals 4 and 5 through Paddington towards Abbey Wood or Shenfield. Also calling it Acton Main Line now, since the Greenford trains no longer went to Acton Main Line. Now, there is a train every half an hour from Shenfield to Terminal 5, and a train every 10 minutes from Abbey Wood to Terminal 4, as well as the Heathrow Express every 15 minutes from Terminal 5 to Paddington. You can also get a free ticket which lets you travel on the Heathrow Express or Elizabeth Line for free between the terminals, which is exactly what I did. The Elizabeth Line has no space for luggage at all. Between the transverse seats and the closest doors, there are 3 longitudinal seats which should be converted to perch seats, but they are not. This means your luggage has nowhere to go, and announcements are made constantly to keep aisles clear of luggage. The trains are nice and modern with a mix of longitudinal and transverse seats, and they have these nice screens, and they are 9 carriages, which is the longest train out of the 3. The Heathrow Express is 4 carriages, but they are always coupled to make 8 carriages. The Elizabeth Line costs £15 from central London, and it takes half an hour from Heathrow Central to Paddington. The Elizabeth Line is very good, however it isn't designed for this service as they operate commuter trains through central London, so naturally it isn't the best. Similar to issues with Thameslink trains doing short and long distance, the Elizabeth Line is very similar to Thameslink generally, with long high-capacity trains that go right through central London and to an airport. Although Thameslink has tiny luggage racks next to each door. I don't think the Elizabeth Line needs luggage racks as it needs more capacity, but perch seats is very welcome. Anyway, the best option is probably the Heathrow Express if you can get a reasonable price. Although I was surprised at the Piccadilly Line because it isn't as bad as I thought. Thanks for watching.